Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop! On today's episode, we have an incredibly special guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's badassery bestowment comes to you from the queen of badassery herself, Jen Sincero, the other Jen. Jen is the author of the You Are a Badass books, some of my favorite reads. I have her one-a-day desktop calendar so I can get some of her badassery each morning. And today's was just too good not to share. So it starts, here are some habits you're going to want to develop if you haven't already. These are some of the most common habits of successful people. Successful people take risks. They stick to their decisions. They set good boundaries. They give back, work smart, delegate. They constantly learn. They stay disciplined, focused. They practice patience. They surround themselves with ass kickers. Talk about ideas, not other people. They get back up instead of give up. They show up on time. They know what's going on around them, and they know what's going on with their money. They go to the spiritual gym, meaning they read self-help books, exercise, meditate, work with mastermind groups, etc. So that was what I saw on my desktop this morning. If you can add just a few of those habits, you are on your way to achieving success. And by the way, Jen Sincero, if you're listening, I love you. Please be my friend. Now, on to today's episode. We have with us an amazing badass that I can't wait to share with you all. He is on the quick contact list on my phone, third only after my husband and my mother. That tells you how important he is to me. He was the general contractor for our larger projects and has taught me so many things, not only about construction, but how to be a good person. He is crazy smart and hates compliments. Welcome to the show, Jake Harris.
Hi. I do hate compliments. That's great.
I knew that would stump you. So
Yes.
Welcome to the show, Jake. We're so happy to have you. Tell my listeners a little bit about your background.
So I come from the commercial construction field. I was a general contractor working in the hotel markets and traveled the country to 33 different states and have done well over 100 projects from 2008 to 2018, where my kids got a little bit bigger and I wanted to spend time with them. So I hung up my frequent flyer pass and stayed home to work on local construction, got involved with residential, enjoyed the fact that there was a good opportunity and great people to meet in the market, and have been doing that ever since. And both as a general contractor for homeowners, more for investors, and then also become an investor myself.
Awesome. And where are you from?
Spent most of my childhood in Northern Virginia.
Oh, okay. And when you said 2008 to 2018, you were traveling a lot. So what are some of the places where you've worked in the past?
We've done hotel projects in the Caribbean, all over Florida, which is where I got my start. I was in Florida. Marriott, I was working with Marriott as a hotel professional, which is where I got the experience in the hospitality. And then I became a contractor and they bounced me around. But when I jumped out of Marriott, I was in Florida and started the GC work there, lots of hotels. I've done work as far west as Utah, as far north as the tip of Maine, and Michigan in the winter, which was very, very cold. but we have been down in the Caribbean and Florida, Texas, all over the place.
Awesome.
Two of my main clients were always Marriott and the Omni Hotel Group. So 4 or 5 stars, big hotels, 1,000 rooms was nothing. It was big projects all the time.
Great. And then you got into becoming a general contractor, working for yourself so you could spend more time with your family. And how did that go for you? How long did you do that, by the way?
Well, both companies were always mine. I was the GC and the owner back in 2008 all the way through to here.
Oh, okay.
But it was always my company. I appreciated the idea of being my own boss from a very young age and wanted to break out on my own. The one thing I noticed from residential side was the kind of lack of process and procedures, because when you're doing 1,000 rooms, you've really got to be on the ball. And I think that's one of the things that's helped us in the residential side is that we are very process and procedure oriented. I am a very process or procedure oriented person. So I took what I learned in the hospitality side, working on these mega structures, and brought it to bear on these single family homes and really kind of try to dial in the appropriate procedure.
So I first met you, you were a host for a local meetup, and I was just blown away by a lot of the things that you said, and you actually reached out to me and said, hey, I'd like to help on this project. And little did you know at the time, we had been ghosted by 2 or 3 general contractors prior to you. We hired one and then we ran out of money. That guy left, and then we had another one come in who was very slow to get the process going. So we had just let him go, and then here you're like, hey, I really would like to talk to you about that Green Street project. And I'm like, what? And you came on board and were a total lifesaver. But I'll tell you the real reason why I hired you. And I mentioned this when I introduced you. I think you're trying to sell me to like see how great your project was. You had me look at a past project of yours. We're walking through, and there's some contractors there doing final touches. And there's this young man who he stood up and you said, I forgot his name. What was his name?
Eli.
You said, Eli, pull up your pants. And and I was like, okay. And so he was finishing up in a closet and, putting some finishing touches on it. And I said, who is that kid? And you said, well, his grandmother lives across the street and he's been interested in projects. And so I brought him on board and made him part of my contracting team. And right then and there, I did not care what you did with this project. And you were like showing me finishes and this and that. And I'm like, you hired the kid across the street, which is amazing. So that is the reason why I hired you. That's why I believe you're a good person. And you just recently broke up with me, by the way. So even though you're so fantastic at being my general contractor, running the project, you were so ridiculously efficient. We would have weekly meetings and you had spreadsheets and this and that, and completely organized, which taught me so much. But you have decided to move on to something else. And that's why I have you here, because I want you to share. So tell my listeners what your next huge project and the whole reason why you broke up with me.
Well, please understand, I would never break up with you if it wasn't for a bigger opportunity that would help lots and lots of people, right? I do truly love and appreciate helping people, which is why I find guys who needed help like Eli and his brother, and I would hire them and I would put them, and they were interested in real estate. So I said, sure, come learn the ugly side of real estate before you get, sold into the pretty side, right? And I think that's unfortunately what a lot of our gurus don't talk about, which is why I was running the meetup in Tria North to sponsor and to promote education on the construction side. So between when the acquisition was made and the disposition sale was made, there's a big black hole that nobody really wanted to talk about. And I said, well, I can talk about that. And so we had a packed house every month, and we would bring in different speakers from structural engineers to contractors to subcontractors to process and procedure. And that was, the whole point was giving back. But all of that has led me to this culminating activity, which I wanted to bring to your show, which is talking about a new program, which was an application developed by myself and Juan Huerta. and my business partner. And he and I are both general contractors and investors in the Raleigh-Durham market. And we came together and said, there's got to be a better way to do this. We feel like projects should advance and need to advance beyond where they are today. And we wanted to use technology to bring them into the current century, because as an aside, I can track the pizza that I just ordered, but I can't track my project. I mean, it was really kind of ridiculous here. So we created a program called Flip Factory app. It's going to be launched in both the Apple and the Google Play Store, so you can actually go on and download it. Had a meeting with my tech team this morning. We're pushing for a January release as fast as we can, but it's going to revolutionize the way things are done, because it takes into account all of the different areas and the different people that are involved, from the lender, the investor, the general contractor, and even the laborer are all involved in this platform. And it handles not only the finding of the people, the scheduling of the work, but also the payments, which was a very tough nut to crack. But we figured out how to actually move money inside the platform so that people can request payments. The invoice can be sent from a subcontractor, photos can be attached, general contractor approves, money gets transferred, all of it's online, trackable, and completely transparent, which we believe will sponsor trust, given the fact that there's been a lot of confusion and shrouded around this process. So I wanted to take the veil down, shed the light on it, take an expert process like the one that we used on your project, the one that we use on all of our projects, give that to the people, let them modify it as their project deems necessary, and then be able to find the local expert guys to get it done. So the whole program is about getting more done, and allowing you as an investor or a lender or a borrower or a general contractor or even a sub to scale your business and focus on the work, as opposed to worrying about cash flow or invoices or payments or any of that stuff. So this whole program is all about getting more done.
And for the listeners out there, if you are just starting out in renovating properties and working with contractors, working with lenders, let me tell you, there is nothing like this out there. This is innovation to the extreme. This is so needed. For me as the investor, one of my pain points is getting bids from contractors, is getting invoices from contractors, and then having conversations with you, Jake. One of your pain points is getting money from the investors. And so you have wrapped this all together. So talk about it from an investor standpoint. How is it going to help me find my contractors, manage my money, get those invoices? So talk about that real quick from the investor standpoint.
So as an investor, let's walk through the process. You as an investor would find a house, and you would log on to Flip Factory and you would register that project, you would enter in an address and you would enter in a zip code. The zip code starts the ability for you to start to search the network. Remember, this is now a networked opportunity. So even if you don't have a painter, these painters are already on the network and they're there. So you pay a small fee, a $300 fee, to register your project, which is nothing when you're dealing with the investments that you and I are working through, right?
That is pennies.
So you pay the fee to register your project. You would then upload photos, plans, comps, everything. You create a project file that basically is everything you would want to tell somebody about your project, either a lender or a general contractor. You register that, you get that information online. You go to the template section and you start to create a schedule of work. You download one of our 3 templates. We provide you with an expert template. We provide you with either a cosmetic template, which means you're just doing a lipstick and rouge on the property. We provide you with a gut template, which means you're taking it down to studs and you've got some serious work. Or we provide you with a gut plus an addition template, like we did on your house, where we took the roof off and literally added square footage to the top of the property. So those are expert templates that have been worked on by myself, Juan, and proofed by a number of other contractors to give somebody a starting point and to have all the things that they should be considering in the project. Now they can delete them, they can modify them, they can add lines, they can delete the lines, they can move lines around, but they start with an expert process, and then they start to customize it to their project. Now, when they have the entire schedule of values customized to their project and they're comfortable with it, now that doesn't mean they have to have all the numbers in there, but they have to have the scope of work, then they can submit it to either a lender and go find a lender and ask them to become involved in the project, or they can submit it to a general contractor and try to secure a general contractor. A third option is the borrower can become their own general contractor if they don't need a GC. So now they can actually, through the program, they can secure subcontractors directly at first, but in search capability soon, very soon, we're going to be searching as we build our network, we're going to be searching it. So you can actually be your own GC, which I understand your husband Vance is interested in doing, wants to expand himself. And I'm happy, we're having lots of conversations on how that could work. But we see a lot of our borrowers and investors as people who don't need GCs as far as the law goes or the scope of work goes, but they just don't know the process. We're going to give them the process, and then we're going to provide them a network where they can execute it themselves, therefore saving time, money, and frustration.
Yeah, say that again, a network?
So when you download a construction software now, you build your own database of subcontractors. When you log into Flip Factory app, you're connected and you register a project, you're given access to the local network. So even if you are here doing work in Raleigh and you happen to buy a property in San Antonio, you would then register the project in San Antonio and get access to local painters, plumbers, electricians, and carpenters in San Antonio, people who are working already with the program.
Whoa. All right. So me, the control freak, I have to how am I going to judge their progress? If they tell me they're swapping out an electrical fixture, an electrical outlet, how do I know that that's been done in San Antonio?
So when you set up a contract, you establish the scope of work, you establish what they're going to do, and you write it all down, and you give them a cost, and you also establish milestones. The milestones are as you set. You can do 10% down, 25% upon 50% completion, whatever terms you want to set, you integrate them into the system. The subcontractor that you're working with then submits invoices against those predisposed and predetermined milestones, and his submission has to be accompanied with photos. And those photos are not for you to approve the work, but those are representative of what he's done. And you can request more photos, you can ask for different photos, you can do whatever, but it creates a photo log attached to the invoice. So as a tile guy gets, let's say his agreement is a third, right? So he gets a third when he shows up, a third when he's 50% of the way through, and a third when he's finally done. Every time he submits for an invoice, he has to take geotagged photos that are in the app so that you can be confident that those pictures were taken on that property on a certain date by this person using the application. And that's why they're going to sit there and they'll send you photos. The first day they'll send you photos and say, all the materials on site, we've demoed what you've asked us to demo. We're going home for the end of the day. We'd like our first initial payment. Based on your agreement, when they show up, they get paid. Then you would, as the investor, you would receive a notification. That notification would say, subcontractor wants paid. You would view the photos. You would either approve, reject, or revise, and be able to modify and get him that money and transfer it into his project wallet.
That alone right there is worth that's worth $300 million in my book, I'm telling you, because my least favorite thing to do is babysit grown men, honestly. So I love that idea. All right, so that is from the investor perspective, and each project is $300, again, pennies, for saving you time and driving there or flying there if it's San Antonio. Let's talk about it from the contractor's perspective. Is there a cost for them?
So the contractors receive money from the program. So putting myself in the contractor's position, and let's putting you in the investor position, we would have agreed upon a overhead expense and a profit expense. The overhead expense, we break everything down by phases. And so we have a preset group of phases. So as we complete a phase, there is a recommended line that we put into the template that says overhead for this phase. The general contractor gets that overhead when the phase is complete. So it's basically as we step complete, there's no more need for a upfront deposit, because you and your lender, as the investor and the lender, are investing money into the app, into the project wallet, no longer into the hands of the general contractor. The general contractor signs contracts for his subcontractors through the application for the set amount, but there's no need to hand off a deposit anymore. It's now being handled by the application.
But if I'm a contractor and I want to start being chosen for projects, I want to be, the tile guy in San Antonio. Let's keep using San Antonio. How do they get involved in this?
So the subcontractor can log in, you can download it. He'll hear about it from his friends. He'll be asked to use it from a current client. The lenders are going to go ahead and say, hey, if you want to borrow my money, you're going to use this program. We're in talks with lots of lenders as to how this could limit their risk and to help them. The subcontractor can choose whether or not he wants to be public or private. So if he's public, he has two options. He can be searched from a geographic, again, it all ties back to that zip code. Within an hour and a half radius of that zip code project, you will find people that you're looking for. And then you also, much like all of the social media that's out there, you have the ability to go on and to view the profile of the subcontractor, and everyone, upon final payment, issues a review. The general contractor issues a review of the subcontractor issues a review on the GC. So everyone has the ability to review. So you can see not only their work, but you can also see what their clients and what their subs are saying about that person, because everybody has an open review process that we will publish, and not, you can't take it down, you can't modify it. It is open, honest review, both ways, transparency.
Awesome. So these are going to be vetted contractors. Again, another tough part about being an investor and flipping properties is finding vetted contractors. So
Right.
You are handing it to these people on a silver platter. I love it. All right. So the contractor's there. Do you have anything else to add about the contractor perspective?
The contractors don't have to worry about cash flow, because once the money has been earmarked for the tile guy, the general contractor never receives it. He's only the approver. He takes the approver role, but the money is handled by the program, and it's transferred directly to the actual tile guy. So the tile guy submits his invoice, the general contractor becomes the approver, and then the tile guy receives his funds directly into his Flip Factory wallet, and then he can distribute it out to his personal bank account at any time through an ACH transfer. So it alleviates the need and the stress on the general contractor, and allows them to focus on the work and scheduling the work and finding the right people, no longer about stressing out about trying to get the money from the owner or the lender, if you're dealing directly with a bank, and then also trying to stress out about contracts being, or invoices sent into the GC from subcontractors, because that's, most of the people that we've found that do this type of work are hammers. These guys just want to go to work. They don't want to worry about the invoicing. They don't want to worry about the selling. They don't want to worry about the certificates of insurance. They just want to go to work. They just want to show up and get the work done and go home and hang out with their family. Our program will take care of that administrative portion and allow them to focus on the work at hand, making a better working environment for all parties.
So I know when we work with these larger hard money lenders for projects, before they send payment out, they have to send someone to the property to do an evaluation. So this is getting rid of that step completely, because that can take a week sometimes just to get the person out there, and they take pictures, then it's got to get approved. So this is more of an immediate situation, and this solves the problem where, I was saying to you, as the investor are heavy issues, but for you, it was getting payment and getting your guys paid and taking care of your people. And so this is just that one step right there where it just makes it immediate, almost practically.
And there's photographic proof of all the work being done, geotag to the house. So we believe that the lender is going to benefit the most because they will be able to trust but verify that concept, that every dollar that they spend is going to that house, and they can track it electronically 24/7, 365, know exactly where it is, have certificates of insurance on file for everybody who is there, get the lien releases digitally on the program. I mean, everything really becomes a reimagined way to project.
What about licenses, like for plumbers and electricians?
There are some contractors that are licensed. There are some that are unlicensed. What we propose is that as a contract is executed with anyone, either a borrower or a general contractor, a certificate of insurance and a W-9 and a license, if necessary, will be automatically transferred over.
Okay.
So there's a little file folder that every subcontractor will upload with their certificate of insurance, their W-9, and their license. And every time they issue a contract with somebody, a copy of those items gets transferred and saved into the project file folder. So you don't have to run around during tax time and try to find everybody's W-9 tax information.
Awesome. So is there a cost for a contractor to, like, say, the tile guy? Does he have to pay anything to become part of this network?
Nothing to become part of the network. What we've done is we've wrapped our costing structure very similar to what's currently done with the QuickBooks platform or any other payment platform, where it's a 3% fee, but we're not just handling funds. I mean, QuickBooks allows you to receive funds to an invoice. We're providing not only the ability to transfer funds digitally, we also have a sales, we're giving them access to a network and providing them and putting them in front row position for sales and that. So basically, if the subcontractor invoiced $1,000, $970 hits their project wallet.
Gotcha.
And so that's the trade-off, is that there's the cost for this program, this platform, is borne for the most part by the subcontractor. But we believe that by guaranteeing their funds, by earmarking their funds and guaranteeing they're there, providing digital transfer, we're providing much more than a 3% fee would cost them. So it's always a value proposition. We have to have more value than the cost structure.
Absolutely. So my favorite tile guy is Carlos, and Carlos's English is very limited. How do we deal with Spanish speaking or any other language with this app? Is there a way to translate?
We've tied together, and the beautiful part is that we've tied together a number of different platforms which have allowed us to tie them together, and they're built to integrate to the others. So when a subcontractor registers for the program, they will choose their preferred language.
Wow. That's
Google Translate will translate it. Now, we found some syntax issues and a couple of different issues when it comes to it, but those people who are comfortable enough to transact in English can do that. Those who prefer to transact in a different language, that's their preference. Google Translate allows us to do it seamlessly.
And I have a sound for this. That's mind blowing. That saves so much time. I love that. So we've talked about we've talked about the investor like me, the house flipper. We've talked about the contractors. How does this benefit a lender, a private money lender, a hard money lender? Tell us how all that works.
We think this is probably the largest benefit to the program, because looking at what the lenders are currently using, it seems to be a combination of QuickBooks and Excel, and they're all customized, and they're all have their own file transfer system. But there seems to be a lot of late night conversations or immediate draw requests, and a lot of urgency, and not a lot of process. And some are better than others. But what we believe what this will do is it'll provide a single platform with an approved process that will allow them to scale and grow their program as private money lenders, whether it's their own funds or they're sourcing money from other people. But for example, As the contracts are being signed, that money is earmarked out of the project wallet, the big bucket of funds that's been allocated, and it gets earmarked via contract upon approval from the investor. When it reaches below a certain amount, whatever's preset from everyone, there's a notification. So it says, hey, your bank account's getting, your project wallet is getting low. You may want to replenish, and the lender and the investor both get this notification, so they know that the general contractor is doing what you've asked him to do, and he's allocating those funds in contract to the subcontractor. So it kind of makes it a little bit more tolerable, as opposed to getting a text message or an email that says, hey, we're out of money, can we get more now, what can we do? And I've been in conversations and had meetings with lenders who have had to step away in order to authorize immediate wire transfers due to this kind of situation. We're hoping to normalize this, because the investor could then see the notification, hit one, transfer through the application, send more money into the program or into that project wallet, and never leave a conversation, never have to take an immediate phone call.
So I'm a private money lender, and we lend out of our 401k, blah, blah, blah. But is there a way for me as a private money lender to go in and say, like, is there a board or something where I can find someone who's looking to borrow at 12%, or I want to lend at 12%? Is there something like that?
I forgot to mention this. This is a great point. Each persona in the platform, the lender, the general contractor, the investor, and the subcontractor, all will have access to their own personal dashboards. And a dashboard is basically just what a dashboard is in your car. In 60 seconds or less, you should be able to get a read on how your company is doing. So we've identified key performance indicators, metrics that help people generate more information and insight so that they can generate further on how they're doing. The lender would have a dashboard. You would have a dashboard as a lender where you would say, on the left-hand side, let's say, these are all my current projects. This is their current total project cost. This is their current spend. This is what they currently have left in the project wallet to spend. This is the current outstanding. These would be metrics that you would follow, and their current projected end date. You would also have a section of people who are requesting money from you, and they've said, dear Miss Josie, please take a look. This is that project file that we talked about, the photos, the plans, the scope of work. They would fill that out. You would be able to log in, not only view them as a potential investor or borrower in that position, because you're the lender. You would view their profile as a borrower, but you would also view and weigh the merits of the actual project itself. And there's also an opportunity for us to provide an open source, where if somebody wants to take a project and offer it up to the market, lenders could then go in and say, let's see what's on the market, right? Again, we want to be able to connect these people, the people who have the need, with the people who have the resources. And so somebody could sit there and say, my project is 123 Any Street. I'm willing to pay 10% and 2 points. This is my scope of work, and he'll offer it up onto the whiteboard, I guess, or the bid board, and then lenders can go hunt for work and see if they wanted to take and entertain that opportunity. But all of this is done via the program. It's all done with interaction. The lender gets the opportunity to review the scope of work. They can make comments and say, why is this so much? Why is this so little? We think you need to add this. They can then go back in and the investor can modify it. And then when they agree upon it, then they'll have that agreement, and then they can go search for GCs or subcontractors, depending on the size and scope of the project.
I have a sound for that. Did you hear that? Cha-ching.
I heard
so
that.
I love everything about this. And when you broke up with me, I was, totally sad, but you will not be removed as the third person on my quick call list on my phone, because you are just such a resource for us. And in fact, I got to tell a quick story. You taught me how to work an electrical panel and to swap out, are they fuses? Breakers, thank you. He taught me how to swap out breakers, and he said, let's just go to the hardware store real quick. So we go into the store, we're buying all the stuff, and we pick up a fire extinguisher as well. Always got to be safe. And we're walking back out, and I'm not paying attention, and I go and I'm sitting in your car, and I'm like, okay, what is he doing? It's just a small bag. Is he putting that in the truck? What is going on? And I look over like 3 more cars, and you're sitting in your truck. I got into a random stranger's truck. It was just sitting there like, doo. So with this app, there will still be opportunity to hang out on the project and to meet your contractors. So I just wanted to make that point, because that was hilarious. And You're just like, what are you were you in that stranger's truck?
It was contractors' trucks at Ace Hardware, right? I mean, it was every flavor of color that we had there. So yeah, that was hysterical.
So I thank you so much for sharing this. Anything else you want to share with the listeners? What do you think?
Check in with the website, flipfactoryapp.com.
Okay.
And we will have direct buttons there to download, and we will be sharing this more. But if it's not out by the time of airing, it will be out very shortly. And we're spending time and making arrangements to go around to all of the real estate investment communities. We are already in talks and booked with Los Angeles and Las Vegas. Obviously, Los Angeles has some COVID issues. We're talking through that. It's probably going to be another Zoom call with them. But the owner of the Los Angeles, Las Vegas real estate group has invited us to come to discuss that with them. We're also hoping to get down to Atlanta and talk to them. But we're going to continue to make opportunities and make ourselves available to any real estate investment group that wants us to come in, because not only do we spend time talking about basically how to renovate a project. What we did in our Tree and North program, we set up those seven different phases: demolition, structure, all those different phases. We want to give that platform out and teach people how the appropriate phase grouping is. But then we can also show them how this program will lock them into a preferred platform and a preferred expert system, and then give them the network and the resources necessary to get it done.
That's awesome. So not only are you launching it, but you're going to be teaching people how to do it and working within it. So I am so grateful to call you friend, because you are a genius, and this is so needed. You are a rare breed. See, he hates compliments. You are a rare breed, and this is just going to help so many people, and it's mind-blowing, all the stuff that it will do for you and just simplify your life. So thank you, Jake, and thank you to Juan, correct? What's your partner's name? Okay.
Yeah, Juan.
So you heard me in the beginning here talk about my badassery bestowment. You're such a great educator. I would love for you to share a badassery bestowment with my listeners from the contractor point of view. Give me something good.
I thought about this as I was preparing for this interview, and the most valuable piece of information I think that I constantly go back to and try to help people is an analogy of the people that are in this market and the people that we work with. And I use 3 buckets. And I tell everybody to think of people in this 3 bucket analogy, because I think it's very beneficial to understand who you're dealing with, how you're dealing with them, and how they can be a mutual beneficial relationship. The 3 buckets are simple. You start off and you have an asset bucket, you have a mercenary bucket, and you have a tool bucket. And after doing this for 10 years, I've realized that these are very distinct buckets, and they need to be kept such. I'll start with the simple one. The simple one is tools. Tools is not a derogatory term by any fashion. What it means is that that's someone who requires a handheld situation. I can't let them loose. I can't just turn them loose. They're not somebody who knows the scope of work or how to do something. They are, in my mind, equal to a hammer or a screwdriver. I'm more effective with a tool in my hand, but my tool will never jump up and go make me money. The hammer will never go fix the pipe or turn the screw or do anything of that nature. So tools are people that are necessary, and they make me as a contractor more effective but they'll never go make me money independently of me. A mercenary is a subcontractor. They're there for the money. They're a skilled professional who knows the job that they're being asked to do, but they are there for the money. Mercenaries will leave you high and dry for $1 more down the street. There's no loyalty, there's no affiliation. They're literally just, you have to look at them like a mercenary group. And assets are people who know the skill, know the trade, can make things work for you and will make you money. However, the one difference between the mercenary and the asset is the asset will subvert their own personal interests for the betterment of the project or the betterment of the person they're working for. So as a general rule of thumb, I keep a handful of tools with me at all times because I find that I'm more efficient and more effective with them than without them. I use mercenaries like they use me. It's a mutual relationship, and we use each other, and you have to be respectful of that relationship. And I collect assets. Now, an asset to me can be an employee. An asset can be somebody who's at a bank. I've had tellers that I consider assets, people who will work with me and help me out. Subcontractors can also be assets. Those are people you protect and take care of, and you get a lot more done when you increase your assets. And the one thing I'll caution everybody about that I've seen a lot of people do is never, never, never ask a mercenary for their opinion. Their opinion will do nothing but benefit them. And when you ask a mercenary for their opinion, you will lose. So you can ask an asset, and you would want to trust an asset. And the other thing I'll mention is that assets like to work with other assets. So when you find that special subcontractor, that person that you know you can trust, and you've tested and proven their loyalty to you and to the program, ask them who else they want to work with. Ask them who they'd like to work beside. You will find that there's a very small niche, a very small stream of these subcontractors and these people who are working in this category, and they know each other and they stick together. So I always try to break into new categories. One of the things I did traveling around the country building hotels is that I would have to find that group, that small vein of assets, and then I would have to grow and wedge my way into that group quickly in order to get successful work done. Because if all I did was hire mercenaries and tools, I'd never get the job done. I needed to find the assets in the market.
Well, you are an asset to me, and I appreciate you very much. So absolutely. I want to move on to the second half of the interview, and sure. This is what makes you a badass, which is clear, I'm sure, to the listeners. And it's an acronym. So for badass, the first letter B, I want to know a book that has made a huge difference in your life.
Hands down, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Awesome.
Great book, great series, great concepts.
Awesome.
Kind of the grandfather of all the books that we're reading these days, right? So
that is true. And the first A is advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
So it's got to be a mantra that we've coined and we've used in all of our programs, and it's trust but verify. And it came from Ronald Reagan. I didn't get this advice directly from him, but he brought it back from his conversations with Gorbachev back in the early 80s. And it was a Russian proverb that's "Dobry no provery," and it was great. And I think that as a contractor and as an investor, I always trust people. It's not a distrust situation. I trust, but I will always verify. And that's one of those things this program does with the photos, is that you have a trust but verify situation. We get your invoice. We think you're done. Let's see the photos. So that concept of trust but verify, you will see spilling over into everything that I do, and especially regarding the Flip Factory app.
I love it. And it's also going to spill over into the reviews that they give to each other. So
absolutely.
That's perfect. The D in badass is drive. What drives you to be successful?
I've always had an internal drive to make a better platform. It's part of my nature to find better ways of doing things. And so I kind of like the Matrix. I tend to look through the walls and see the code and and try to better the platform, no matter what platform it is. Even sitting in a restaurant, I'll try to, hey, if they move the door, they could do this or they could do that. My wife says, shut up and eat your food. So it's just a natural instinct to want to make a better world.
Awesome. The second A is aspiration. I am a huge goal setter. What is a goal that you are currently working on?
This is deep, but I believe that with the introduction of Flip Factory app and the way that we're proposing to revolutionize this project management system by separating by changing the flow of funds and by providing a central system for everyone to agree upon the scope of work and then manage through that platform, even if it's not with my platform, I believe this is the turning point where we're going to change project management forever. I will not be surprised in the least if 10 years down the road, we go to some foreign area and they're using a platform that mimics what we're doing here. And I think that's a great way. I think the project management system that we have currently is broken. I think it's very antiquated and I think it needs to be improved. So I have a part of this platform is to fix project management and fix the way that we execute projects as a whole.
I have no doubt you will definitely be seeing that in Uganda. I don't know where.
Travel. I think that would be great.
Yes.
There is a better way to do this.
Absolutely. So having worked with you, I know you are a systems guy. So the first S in Badass is systems. What are systems that you have in place to help you achieve your success?
I carry around my daily journal and I move, if I don't cross things off on a daily basis, then I move them to the next platform. That's the written part of it. Everything that we do, all the programs that you and I worked on our projects, from the Excel spreadsheets and the separate bank accounts and the bank account downloads and the cost verification. So we had an estimate and then we would track all the expenses against that specific line, because there would be a cost code for that line. And at the end of the project, you and I could see exactly how much we spent on that line. All of that stems and was the building blocks for the Flip Factory app. We didn't just go to a tech team and say, hey, we've got an idea. What do you think? We said, hey, we're doing this in an analog basis now using Excel and the banking system, right? Separate checkbooks. So taking those programs from an analog system and making them into a digital system, which has been almost 10 months in the making, is really my system. And we've put everything that we can think of to not only helping the projects, but also helping the lenders get more work. The investors will be more successful and they'll understand what the key metrics are. Even the lenders are telling us and saying, hey, make sure to make this readily available and readily knowable to the investors so that they can become better. So everyone's in it for the win. And that process and procedure and system, everything that I've got and everything that makes me successful is getting dumped into this application to better everyone across the board.
That's awesome. So finally, the last S is success. What does success mean to you?
I used to think success was reaching a goal and a pinnacle. When I was younger, it was, I needed to have my own company, and then I got my own company, and then I didn't feel any different. And then being a contractor, a young contractor, I was trying to sit there and go, well, how much work can I do? So I did $1 million in a year, and I was like, ooh, do I feel different? No. And then I signed a 7-figure contract, and I called my dad, and I still didn't feel any different. And as I'm aging and getting older and realizing what it is, success is just continuing to move toward a goal. And I know that goal will change. But as I lay my head on my pillow at night, I need to know that I made at least forward progress towards that goal. And I call that a success. It's no longer a destination. It's really the journey. And helping others has been proven to be my life's journey and my life's goal. And that's why I think that this venture is my pièce de résistance. I think it's the culmination of everything I've done to be able to help millions of people do a better project, is the way that this is going to go and the way it's going to end up. And that's why I'm very happy to talk about it. You can hear the passion. I'm very passionate about the situation, and I love it because we've put so much into it. It's all of me and then some, and that is what I coin as success, moving towards that goal.
Well, I'm so proud of you for having this journey and having this goal, and I'm so lucky to be taken along on this journey as well, and I appreciate you. So how do our listeners find you? Do you even know what social media is? I know this is a challenge.
Not a big social. You've been coaching me on what to do, and I appreciate that. But I appreciate you as well. Everyone is. I've learned so much as we continue to talk about this and do this. But the website is flipfactoryapp.com, and that there you'll have the access to the application. And we're going to continue to learn more about. Again, one of the things about what we're doing is Juan and I are not tech guys. We didn't create a platform and then go find an audience. We were successful general contractors. Both of us were very successful general contractors and investors. And it was only through conversation and prayerful consideration did we decide to hang all of that up and pursue this venture. Because we thought that we could help more people. So I'm not a tech guy. I don't do a lot of social media. I wish I'm learning more about it. But
you are on Instagram though. What is your Instagram name?
I think it's Flip Factory App. I think.
So people can follow you on Instagram, and
yes.
We'll get that up and running shortly, even stronger. And yes. They can send you messages that way through the website. If someone has a question, they can shoot a question through the website, or?
Yes, we're going to have info@flipfactoryapp.com is an email that we've set up to just handle general information and questions and concerns. So that's up and running. Feel free to head us up there. And we are continuing to find ways to help people and helplines, and we want to make this work.
Well, I am honored to call you friend. Thank you so much for being amazing and a total badass. So that is awesome. All, everyone. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery, and don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.